Hello, I'm Kendra Von Esch, and you are listening to my 10-minute daily podcast, Reality Reflections. I bought into what this world said would make me happy. Money, prestige, power. And hey, if it feels good, do it, because life is stressful, so party hard. Do whatever makes you happy. But that didn't quite work out, because I felt even more insecure, full of fear, shame, and anxiety, and never, ever good enough. Then God found me and flipped my reality upside down and transformed my life. And I want this for everyone. So I left my executive career to help others find true acceptance, supernatural peace, joy, and love that only comes from a relationship with God. Here is my reality reflection for today. Today we're going to talk about generosity. And when I hear that word, I immediately go to money. Being generous with money. That's me. Because guess what? That was all I was ever really generous with. I did not donate. I didn't do like fundraising events. I was so selfish with my life and my money for most of it. I mean, I want to say 45 years of my life. I never thought about anyone else. The only thing I did was take my clothes to Goodwill, but that was completely selfish so that I could get the tax refund docs and write it off on my taxes. Had nothing to do with helping anyone. So I'm just sharing my immediate definition of generosity. And I want to broaden it for all of us in case you have the same kind of narrow view of that word. So, did you know that generosity is actually the pursuit of charity? Let's think about that for a minute. That's awesome. You being generous is really you pursuing love. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit and broaden our scope of what generosity is and how we, in our own unique way, can be generous toward others and toward ourselves. Okay, definition of generosity. This is the Merriam-Webster dictionary. The quality or fact of being generous. Really? I mean, can a dictionary use the word to describe a word? That's so wrong. and it's in both of them. The quality or fact of being generous. A generous act. Great generosity of spirit. Hilarious. All right, I want to do one thing. Just click here. See what generous is. Okay. The definition of generous means liberal in giving. A generous benefactor, for example. Marked by abundance or ample proportions. Characterized by a noble or kindly spirit. All right, I want to go back and look at some of the synonyms because I think they always help us think differently. Big-heartedness, bountifulness, bounty, generousness, open-handedness, open-heartedness, philanthropy, unselfishness. And sometimes listening to the antonyms might also make it a little bit clearer. It's the opposite of cheapness, closeness, closeness maybe, meanness, selfishness, stinginess, tightness, ungenerosity. That's interesting. Didn't even know that was a word. Okay. So we can be generous with our time, with our talents, and with our money. If you don't have money to give, you can be generous with your time. I always did the easy thing for me. And it was, the one Bible verse where the woman put her penny, her copper coin into the donation. And she was a poor, poor woman. And Jesus said that what she did, she gave out of faith, and all the other people gave out of their abundance. And I was always, and continued kind of to be, the person who gives out of abundance. Not out of faith, knowing that God will provide for me. I'm going to give to the people in need, regardless. Selfishly, not for the tax return and the refund. You know what I mean? And I was never one that got involved in soup kitchens or volunteering. But that may be something that you really enjoy. And maybe it doesn't have to be at a soup kitchen, for example, but maybe you volunteer to help with the next parish event. Or heck, it doesn't even have to be around the church. You could volunteer at your school to help out with projects. Or spend more time with your kids. Maybe they want to learn something and you two together can learn something. How fun would that be? But just being generous with your time, with the gifts that God gave you, and seeking love in that generosity. Yes, it's great if you have money to help. But in some cases, people may actually need people to help. My goodness, I was at the Magnificat in Omaha. I believe it's she told me, Karen Dwyer, she's the coordinator of that chapter. She said it's the largest one. They usually have close to 500 people that come, and they host 4 a year. And she says, I can't do it without prayer and without these amazing volunteers, these people who all know what they're supposed to do. She says, we've been doing it for a couple of years now. We're pretty good at it. We've got it down. Everyone knows their thing that they're supposed to do, and then the next person picks up, etc. And it was a well-oiled machine, and that is something that maybe you can help in your area. Or maybe you start something. Maybe there's nothing in your parish. Maybe you're going to be generous with your time. Maybe you're a divorced person. Maybe you are looking for a support group and nothing exists at your parish. Start it. Talk to the pastor. It really is only asking for like a room to rent or to borrow. Slide a little something in the bulletin and bing, bang, boom. Now you've expanded yourself to a whole new group of spiritual companions kind of in the same boat. There's plenty of ways that you can seek ways to be generous today. With your love, with your compliments, with your words, with your prayers. You can be generous in intercessory prayer. Maybe you do a couple extra prayers or a few devotions, or you go that extra mile for that person that you're praying for, and you add a few sacrifices and sufferings. Being generous with your faith and your spiritual life. That's really what it's all about. So let's ask the Lord to put on our heart today. Show us ways that we can be generous to ourselves as well as others. Maybe God wants you to be generous with your time today for you, so that you can sit in prayer and you can sit with God. Recharge your spirit. Offer Him all of your existing feelings and emotions and circumstances. Empty yourself and allow Him to fill you with His peace, with His love, with His mercy and forgiveness if you're struggling with sin. To fill you with His zeal and energy for life, so that we can be more generous to everyone else. We need to first be generous to ourselves and spend that time with God. It's so, so, so very important. So go be generous today, everyone. I love you all. Have a blessed and inspired day.